Good morning. I thought that today instead I would talk you through the care of a houseplant. I would imagine most of you recognise this as an orchid. They are absolutely beautiful, and 20 years ago the only place that my family used to get them was garden centres. They were like £20 to £30 a pop. Nowadays you can get them from your average supermarket for like a fiver, and they really are considered, sadly, as a disposable plant. The reason why they've become so popular and relatively cheap is you can grow them from cuttings. They grow these little tiny baby orchids halfway up. We've managed to do that a couple of times over the years of having orchids at my parents' house. And in Asia, they've got very, very good at producing lots and lots of these orchids, particularly this type, which I'll write down the bottom because it's a really common type of orchid. And you get them in a range of colours. Because they're so cheap, lots of people just dispose of them after they stop flowering. You see like offices where they just get rid of them and get new ones in. But actually, they are a really long-lasting, easy plant to keep. They're not as hard as people think. You just have to get into a rhythm. And you need to understand what kind of plant they are. So orchids are an epiphyte. That means that they originate from rainforest environments predominantly, although we also get orchids in the UK, generally in kind of marshy land. But the ones that you'll find in your average supermarket or florist will be ones that have come from rainforests originally. And they're epiphytic, which means they grow in the branches of trees high up. And they get all of their moisture through these roots, which are able to absorb just moisture from the air. They might be able to get some moisture from the debris that's around them. But aside from that, the majority of it's from the high humidity that they're used to. In a home, you might be able to replicate that. For example, these are found in our bathroom, so that is quite high humidity, but that generally probably isn't enough. In a rainforest, you would get downpourings of rain, which would significantly increase the amount of moisture availability. They generally prefer not to be in direct sunlight, so if you have a shadier windowsill, now we unfortunately don't have many windowsills. I would love to have a conservatory full of orchids, but we don't have many windowsills, so these ones luckily we do in the bathroom. It should be inside a pot like this, generally clear, and it should have loose kind of bark, which we have in the past used at my parents', but actually if you can buy just orchid bark, that's ideal. They want really aerated soil. They don't need much nutrients in there. They get most of what they need from the air, some from obviously the bark decomposing, and from moisture and water that you provide them. So they come in these pots. They can kind of grow through the bottom sometimes, but generally they're quite pot bound. See some of the roots come out the top. Not all orchids will come that way. So you might have bought an orchid and it might have lots of moss with it. Generally it looks prettier than the bark, and so sometimes if it's like a gift or they want to make it look fancy, they fill it all with moss. I would strongly recommend with those ones that you remove the moss. They actually do not want to sit in water, and that is the biggest mistake people make. You do not want to water these and leave them in standing water. It's such a simple thing. Lots of people think, oh yeah, I'll just keep watering it, it's starting to droop, I'll water it some more. No, that is not what you need to do. What you're going to do is you're literally going to fill this pot with water for 1 hour and then take them out. Empty the water out, put them back in. You might change that in certain times of the year, so at winter time, once every 2 weeks is fine, and in the summer, once every week, or if you've got them flowering, you might even do it twice a week if you have a very dry household. How do I do this? Well, you do have to be careful with the water you use. You don't want to just use tap water straight out of the tap necessarily, because it might have high levels of chlorine in it, which might not be good for the plant. Ideally, you want to use rainwater. Now, there are two sources of rainwater. One, very simply, you could just put a bucket outside and hope it rains. So you might be lucky like us that you can use a water butt like this, which is full of water. You just fill the pot with rainwater and place the plant in, like so. Ta-da! So you set the alarm for 1 hour's time, and then you come back in 1 hour. Not everybody has access to a water butt. That can be a luxury. So the other thing you could do is you can fill a jug or a bucket with water and leave it out. Generally, if you leave it out for around about 24 hours, most of the chlorine should have evaporated. You could also add some form of water purifier or filter it, or you could use the kind of things you add to tap water to make it safe for fish, because that gets rid of most of the things. What other maintenance? Well, very simply, the only other thing, apart from leaving them in water for an hour once a week, is you see dust collects on the leaves. And all I do is I wet some kitchen towel, this is with rainwater, and I wipe the leaves away their dust. And you can see that that is looking much better. Not always do we remember to do them every week, and it is sometimes hard to remember unless you kind of get into a rhythm. And I just want to be honest with you, it is sometimes hard to remember to do something every week. Really straight with you, I have not always remembered. Probably in the winter, I've probably forgot to water them for probably a month. Since lockdown, obviously, I've been a bit more on it, so they've been more regularly watered. And actually, I just want to show you how easily they can rebound. So this one's been quite regular in flowering. It actually started growing its next flower stalk as the last one died, so that was really good. But these two, I can't even tell you what colour they are. It's been that long since they've flowered. However, since I've watered them better, can you see? I've got 2 flower stalks. There's one just here. So normally once they're kind of happy, they'll stop producing flower and root stalks. 1 flower stalk here and 1 just coming up there. So that's brilliant. So hopefully in, I don't know, a couple of weeks time, they'll have got much, much bigger. Probably about a month before they start flowering. There is 1 just here. So that's so cool. So at the end of your hour, Ping has just gone, you take them out and just get rid of the water, put them back in their pot, done. So I hope that gives you an idea of how easy it is to look after orchids, and hopefully if somebody ever gives you one or you see one in the shop, I love rescuing one that's been reduced to like £1, you'll feel confident enough to give it a go and see whether you can get it to flower another year. And they are beautiful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!